Hi, Jacob with Agorapulse, and in this tutorial today, we're going to be looking at the entire full feature of Agorapulse's social listening. Now, if you're not doing any social listening right now, social listening is very beneficial for understanding and controlling the narrative potentially around your brand, around competitors, or around a particular keyword or topic. Listening is a great way to bring the user-generated content to you, bring the insights to you, so you're not having to search natively on these platforms. We're going to hop in, take a look at creating a search and how to utilize these methods. Now, to access your listening, you're going to navigate to the listening section on your left panel navigation right here. Now, when we go to listening, if you already have some listening searches created, you are going to be greeted with a dashboard of a quick glance of all your listening searches. So what is this search? What platforms are these on? And then a quick glance on the top metrics. So as a quick overview, I can come in and take a look and see if there's anything that I want to dive into further. Now, if we don't have any searches created, we want to create a search right here in the top right-hand corner. We'll click this button, and this is going to open up the search creation for us. First step in creating a search, we want to give it a title, and we want to give it a description, just in case anyone else is coming in here taking a look at this search. They understand what we're listening for. Next up, we are going to want to turn on our sources. Now, be sure to take a look at all of the functionalities of these sources. For example, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, they track mentions on public posts. But Twitter and Instagram will also have the ability to listen for hashtags. Twitter also has the ability to listen for keywords like web news and blog sources as well. So depending on what you want to listen for, you will need to turn on these sources. So if we turn on each one of these sources, that's great. These will all be available. We then need to create parameters based on these sources. So just because we turn on the sources, we are not listening for anything at the moment. We have to tell the system what we want to listen for. So, for example, mentions. Mentions can be added on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So when we have the mention parameter, we need to go in and we need to select our specific profile that's going to match this parameter. So let's listen to our Paris LinkedIn, and maybe I want to listen to our Facebook page as well too. So we can come in and select our pages specifically for that region. Now, again, you have other parameters as well too. We talked about hashtags. Hashtags are available on Twitter and on Instagram as well too. So if we want to listen to hashtag Agorapulse, we can listen to this here. We are now set up to capture mentions of our LinkedIn, Facebook page, but also when people utilize the hashtag Agorapulse. Now, with parameters like hashtags and keywords as well, we can turn on individual sources. So for hashtags, Twitter and Instagram are available. If I don't want to listen on Twitter, I just want to listen on Instagram, we can do that right here. Same thing with the keyword section. We have web news and blogs as well as Twitter as a source. With this parameter, we can add in keywords. Let's do the keyword Agorapulse. And we can turn off those sources here. We also have the ability to add on more Boolean code type search. So if we want to expand, we want to maybe narrow or be more specific in this search, we can add an and parameter here. You'll notice that as you create more parameters, the or parameter will be here. So, hey, if people are mentioning our LinkedIn, or they're mentioning our Facebook page, or they're using this hashtag, or they're using this keyword, that or is going to make those all an option. So if any one of those actions happen, that will populate in your listening search. If we utilize the and, that will be very specific. So, hey, we want to listen to keyword Agorapulse, and it has to have listening in there as well too. So if it's just Agorapulse, it won't pop up. If it's listening in Agorapulse, it will pop up. So this allows us, this parameter here, to get very specific on our searches. I would highly encourage starting very broad on your searches and then narrowing down this search if you need to narrow it down with further parameters. Now, after we've added in parameters, we can exclude parameters. Some good examples might be certain keywords. We may want to listen, for example, to Agorapulse, but we don't want to hear when people are talking about, let's say, maybe Hootsuite. So we can exclude that. We may want to create a competitor search. This is our brand awareness search, so we don't want to be listening for that. So all of these parameters, again, mentions, hashtags, keywords, based on the sources above, can be turned on and can be excluded. This is a great way to, again, narrow down this search and get specific items coming into this listening search. Speaking of more specificity, you can narrow this down even further. This is a really great way to kind of understand and narrow down different types of content based on language or where this content is being created from. Now, these geographic and language filters are going to apply to your web and news blog sources. There is a ton of sources in those sources. So To narrow this down to language or region type is going to take all of that information and narrow it down to specifically what you need to see. Now that we've created our search, we've gone through all the sources, the parameters, all of the nitty gritty, we can go ahead and save this search. This will now start processing all of that information, start to listen, and start to pull all this information in. Now, for those that have created a search, or we want to go back in and edit anything within the search, we can simply go directly to the search and edit that search directly here. This is going to allow us to expand out those parameters, limit the sources if we want to change up this search. I'd highly encourage, again, starting very broad on your search and then adding in more parameters, adding in more things that narrow down your focus on this listening search. So come in, edit that search. You can save that search at any time or change any of those parameters at any time. Now, when it comes to diving deep into the metrics, simply click on the listening search. This is going to open up the most recent results that we have here. You do have filters based on the network. So if I want to see just particularly what kind of content, what kind of metrics are coming on that source, or the sentiment of the content, or the content type. Maybe we're just really curious about what kind of video content people are creating around this topic. These filters are a great way to narrow down and see these metrics from different angles as well. Now, when it comes to metrics, you are going to have some really great insights. From a volume perspective, this is going to let you know, hey, how active is this topic? How active is this space that you're listening for? These are really great ways to understand if we want to play in a big pond, or maybe we have a very small pond that we can make a good action. People aren't posting a lot in this section, so we can create more content, maybe have more noise available as well too. This is very important as well too, the sentiment analysis. When we're talking about brand health or the health of this conversation or topic, this is key right here. We want to understand, hey, things are positive. We also want to know when things are maybe negative, so we can dive into those potential threats and turn those into opportunities as well too. Now, you also have a really great section here on conversation trends. Again, if you have a very narrow search, these may be smaller. If you have a broad search, these may be bigger. But looking at these conversation trends, we can actually click in and filter out the content based on this conversation trend. So if we're looking at people who are talking about content, what kind of content are they creating when they're talking about content? So this is a really great way, again, to key in to these particular conversation trends and see what kind of content's being created. Same thing with engagement. Engagement is a really good indicator to understand, are people engaging with this content? If we're going to create, if we're going to research, we're going to maybe be playing in this space, in this conversation trend, what kind of engagement are people getting? You know, is this something that is beneficial to our goals or not? And last but not least, you have your content over here. This is really kind of where the rubber hits the road when it comes to social media managers. You know, we're understanding our brand health, our awareness, engagement, volume of this topic or of our brand. Now we can look at this and see, okay, what kind of content's being created by users that's speaking to us? Is this content that we could create for ourselves? Is this content that we want to engage with so we can answer any questions or any challenges that they may be creating in that post? Now, again, you can filter out here on the content side by newest, oldest, or the highest engaged posts as well too. And you also have date range filters as well too. So, hey, look at this. You can see yourself sometimes on listening right here. So again, utilize these insights. And when it comes time to share these insights, listening is a great way to alert people about this stuff, but it's a great way to collaborate with other departments like sales, like business development, like your marketing team, people that need to see these insights or see these potential threats or opportunities and be informed about that. Now, when it comes to sharing these insights, you will be able to export your search right here, and you'll be able to choose which metrics are most relevant. Maybe we care about the sentiment, maybe we care about just what's going on in the conversation trends of engagement. You can save this right here, export this search. Now, your reporting period is going to depend upon the period you have selected here. So if you change this reporting period will change as well too. And you can see more information based on that period. So give your report a name, export that search. It'll be delivered to you in app and also via email. Now, last but certainly not least, when we look at listening is really kind of like a doctor visit. We're trying to understand what's going on there, especially from a brand awareness perspective. What's going on with our brand, our organization? What are people saying around us? What's the health of our brand? So really, if we think about listening, it's kind of a doctor checkup of a doctor appointment of our brand itself. Now, we don't go to the doctor every single day. You know, we may go to the doctor when we're noticing things. Ooh, I feel a little sore here today. And that's exactly where this next functionality, listening alerts, are going to come in. So social media managers, we spend our time doing a lot. And there's a lot more that we are probably being tasked with that we don't have time to do. So to come into a listening search and try to understand these insights every day may not be the best practice. I would not encourage that. Instead, I would encourage you to set up and manage your alerts for your listening searches. Now, your alerts can be managed directly in the search itself. If you are in the dashboard view, you can click the 3 button on this and manage your alerts, or click right here and manage your alerts there. So a couple areas to manage those alerts. When you hit manage alerts, it will take you to your alerts settings, which you can also access at any time, and you can create different listening searches. So if I want to create a new alert, I can come in and create alert based upon particular metrics. So again, total volume of content, the sentiment of posts, negative sentiment of posts. I really like these two from my personal perspective. This allows me to understand kind of the brand health or the organization health. And so if things are spiking positive, I want to see that. If things are spiking negative, I may want to see that. You can create alerts for all of these instances if you need to. Let's take a look. We want to be very aware of, in this example, of negative sentiment. So I don't necessarily have time to look at my listening search all the time, but if there is a small increase, let's say that I'm very sensitive to this, there's a small increase of negative sentiment content. I want to be alerted to that because I want to go in and address those potential threats or opportunities. Maybe I'm not so sensitive to that. Maybe I just want to see when things increase a lot. So if there's a big spike in negative sentiment, then I want to go see what's creating that. What actions can we take? What kind of crisis management potentially do we need to have? So again, depending upon your needs and your bandwidth, I would highly encourage utilizing these alerts. Sentiment is awesome. Volume is awesome as well too, depending upon your needs. And then understanding the alert sensitivity. Are we very sensitive? Are we medium sensitive? Are we highly sensitive for big changes as well? And then you can set up who's going to get these notifications. Now, I'm the one that's creating this, so do I want to get this, or do I want to notify another team member? So I can set up these alerts to notify another team member of the importance of their aspect, so they can come in and look at this as well too. And once we save those alerts, we are done. That alert is now active. Again, we can create more alerts on this brand awareness search if we need to. So if I want to create another one based on total volume, we can do that directly here. And if we do have multiple alerts and we want to turn those off, simply turn them off and on when you need them. That is social listening in Agorapulse. Again, a great way to monitor user-generated content, really kind of have the breadth of your brand awareness, what's going on around your brand there 24/7. And again, with exporting your reports, you can share that information. And with alerts, you don't need to be digging through this muck all the time. You just be alerted when things are relevant to your needs. Thanks so much for watching. To learn more or to watch more about our advanced features, please visit our website, our video tutorials, our help center, or start a direct chat with us today. Bye.